On National Cowboy Shit Day, I didn't even know when I woke up this morning that that's what today was, but apparently everybody's been telling me it's National Cowboy Shit Day. This is your AEW Dynamite review for November 17, 2021. I am the Solomonster here. 25 years ago tonight, Bret Hart and Steve Austin stepped foot into the same ring in Madison Square Garden at the Survivor Series. The first classic, first of two classic matches those two had 25 years ago tonight. We got some great wrestling that night, 25 years ago. Guess what? We got some great wrestling tonight too, 25 years later. I thought tonight was an excellent show. A lot of the post-pay-per-view episodes of Dynamite have been excellent shows, and tonight was no exception. Got me very excited for the two big matches that are coming up. We don't know when, but two of the big matches that AEW has teased. We got a taste of it tonight. Of course, we knew Bryan Danielson coming into tonight was the number one contender for the AEW World Championship. He won the Eliminator. He beat Miro at Full Gear. And so he is in line to challenge Hangman Page. The two of them came face to face tonight. I got to tell you, coming into the show tonight, one of the things that I did not expect and I would not have predicted is that when this show was over, we would have heel Bryan Danielson. Not only did we get heel Bryan Danielson tonight, we got old school American Dragon Bryan Danielson. So you go back to the Ring of Honor days, mid-2000s. It's the first time we've seen that version of the American Dragon in a very long time. And it was great. And it worked because they were in Hangman's home state of Virginia. He was beloved. He was the hero coming home, getting the hero's welcome. Danielson played into it perfectly, and in one night, in one segment, with no build-up whatsoever, there had been no interaction between these two up to this point. They got me excited for this match more than any other match in AEW. MJF and CM Punk, we got the first little tease of what's to come between MJF and CM Punk. Punk never even said a word. And already, I can't wait to see the next time these two are in the ring together. I can't wait to see when Punk does speak up. The back and forth promo battles between these two, and then the eventual match. MJF showed at the pay-per-view. It's not just that he's great on the mic. He can work. I think a Punk MJF match will be very good too. We got our first taste of that tonight. We had that. We had a fun cameo by New Japan Pro Wrestling's Tomohiro Ishii making his Dynamite debut tonight. Even the women's match, I thought the women's match was very good. Some of the women's matches on these shows are hit or miss. I thought the TBS title tournament match tonight was very good. And an excellent main event, Jay Lethal making his in-ring AEW debut, challenging for the TNT Championship against Sammy Guevara. An excellent match. So top to bottom, one of the strongest episodes of Dynamite I think the company has ever produced. One of the best episodes of Dynamite tonight, in my opinion. Like and subscribe, please, if you would do so. Super chats are open. I will be reading all of your messages. We're going to get into all that good stuff. Hang out here on a Wednesday night. Hope everybody's getting ready for Thanksgiving. We're a little over a week away. Thanksgiving's not too far away, and we got some other fun streams planned for you this week. Big anniversary stream tomorrow night. We'll talk about all that as we go along here. Show opened with another very interesting storyline tease. They could go a whole bunch of different ways with this. The Elite, backstage, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and the Young Bucks. This is how the show opened tonight. Kenny Omega doing the talking and talking about how all of them lost at Full Gear. The Super Click lost to Christian, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. We knew that. And Kenny Omega lost his championship to Hangman Page. So it was not a good night for the Elite, where the Super Click at Full Gear, licking their wounds. Kenny said he was disgusted, saying that there are things that need to be fixed, including Kenny Omega himself, although he didn't get into this. But unfortunately, the reports are that he probably is going to need shoulder surgery. He's been dealing with shoulder issues for some time, going back to even before he won the championship. I think it was a labrum or a rotator cuff, maybe a labrum issue, I think. So he's pretty banged up. And although he didn't get into anything, he was sort of alluding to the fact that he's going to have to go away for a while. So I don't know what the results of those tests and evaluations were. He was being evaluated today to see what the physical situation is. Based on what we heard here in this promo, it looks like Kenny Omega is going to be leaving for a while. We just don't know how long. And he said that while he's gone, he asked the Bucks if they could hold things down. And even though he was talking to the Bucks, Adam Cole spoke up. And Adam Cole said, "Cleaner, I got this." Before Omega pointed out that I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Matt and Nick, which made for a very awkward moment. At which point Nick Jackson told Brandon Cutler to stop filming. And so the tease begins. We were talking about this on the Full Gear recap last weekend. How many different ways they could go? Is there going to be a fracture within the Elite? Is Adam Cole going to try to take over from Omega? Are they going to kick Omega out and he's going to go babyface? What are they going to do here? The tease that we got tonight that I saw was a tease for a power struggle. And if Omega leaves and there's this power vacuum, Adam Cole could step in to sort of assume the unofficial role of leader of the group. When Omega does come back, let's say if he comes back in 3 months, 4 or 5 months, whatever it might be, they could be setting the stage for a power struggle and someone getting booted out of the Elite. So just a little seed that they planted. I don't even know if they know where they're going to go with this yet. I'm sure they have an idea. But a lot of it really depends on how long Kenny Omega is going to be out for. And if he needs surgery, he could be out a lot longer than, they might like. But I like that. Already teasing what might be coming down the road with the Elite. The Dark Order was in the ring with John Silver, sort of the master of ceremonies. He was on the mic introducing Hangman Adam Page for his AEW Championship celebration. He finally won the big one. We've been talking about Adam Cole for how long, right? How many months have we been going on and on about Adam Cole, or Adam Page rather, and when the right time is for him to win the championship, and they shouldn't wait too long. And in the summer in August, it looked like, what are they doing? They took him out of the running for a title match at All Out. We didn't know what's going on here. He was having a kid. How long is he going to be gone for? And in the end, it all worked out. 1 year after he lost to Kenny Omega in the Eliminator, he came back, he beat Omega, he won the championship, and so this was his big celebration here in his home state of Virginia. Loud chants of cowboy shit, and you deserve it, to which he responded, I don't deserve it, I effing earned it. They were popping for anything that he said. When you're the hometown boy like this, they'll pop for pretty much anything. So they were going crazy for him. Bryan Danielson comes out, the #1 contender for the AEW World title. Again, these two have not had any interaction up to this point. This is the first time that we are seeing Bryan Danielson and Adam Page in the ring together. They have a match that we know is going to happen. We don't know when, but their job is to set this match up and get people excited and interested to see this match. And I had assumed that it would be, a babyface against babyface match. And in the end, Hangman goes over and they do the handshake and Danielson sort of endorses him. And that may end up, being the case as far as how this all plays out. But they took this in a direction I was not expecting. They took this in a direction that I think is even better than just doing babyface against babyface. I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. Because Danielson came out here. He congratulates Hangman. He goes, I'm super excited for this match, getting in the ring with you, but I got to admit, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was disappointed that it was not going to be one-on-one against Kenny Omega. And the boos started. So remember when CM Punk got in the ring a few weeks ago with Eddie Kingston? And I said Eddie Kingston is like a miracle worker because he's the first man to get CM Punk booed since he came into AEW. Well, tonight was the first time we heard boos for Bryan Danielson. And it was nothing that Hangman Page did. This is just the beauty of Bryan being a veteran and being around doing this as long as he has. He knew exactly what buttons to push. He knew exactly what to say. And Hangman said, well, I did beat Kenny Omega, and it didn't even take me 30 minutes to do it. So just kind of poking Bryan a little bit, about he and Omega went to that 30-minute draw at Arthur Ashe. Just a little ribbing, right? Nothing major. Bryan said, look, I didn't come out here to start any beef. Although to be fair, you're not going to be wrestling somebody dressed up as a Ghostbuster on Halloween. Because you're stepping into the ring with somebody who's there to kick your ass. He goes, in fact, I'm here to wrestle tonight. You're here to flap your gums. I'm here to get in the ring and throw down. And he goes, when I won the title of WrestleMania, unlike you, because Hangman's out there in his shirt, he's in his jeans, he's in his cowboy boots. He goes, when I wrestled at WrestleMania and won the championship, I wrestled the very next night. No sooner did the words WrestleMania leave his lips, but the boos rained down on this guy. You talk about the kind of heat Dan Lambert gets when he's out there. Bryan Danielson was out there. As soon as he mentioned WrestleMania, the boo birds came out. You would think Dan Lambert made a cameo. He was not on the show tonight, by the way. Bryan said, of course, Virginia boos hard work. So he was just completely healing it up. By that point, you can see he was enjoying himself. And Hangman said, look, we could have that match right now if you want. People were getting all excited. They started chanting yes. Danielson said, look, as much as I'd like to, I don't think you're ready. You're out here wearing jeans and cowboy boots and stuff. I don't want to get in the ring with you, and then you use that as some kind of excuse. I want you at your best. I want you when you are at 100%. Of course, the crowd didn't like that. So they got up in each other's face, and they started shoving each other, and the Dark Order members were keeping them apart. And the crowd wants them to let them fight. And Danielson said that Page's friends wouldn't do that. They wouldn't let him fight. Page broke free. They had a little bit of a scuffle. Bryan got out of the ring. I thought that this was a fantastic opening segment. This was not the heel turn that I was expecting. The Kevin Owens one on TV a few weeks ago on Raw, that I was expecting. I was actually hoping for it. Because God knows Owens could use something different. But the heel turn I was not expecting. As I said earlier, this was a version of the American Dragon that we have not seen in a very long time. He's not out there cracking jokes. He's not out there to be funny. He's out there to be serious, and he's out there to beat the fuck out of people. And in fact, there were a couple of different times during his match with Evil Uno where he very audibly was, doing the whole, I'm going to kick this guy's fucking head in. The cameras picked up on it. I loved every second of this. It took less than 5 minutes to put heat on this match. It very much reminded me of the segment with CM Punk and Eddie Kingston on Rampage a few weeks ago. They had a match for Full Gear that they had to announce. And this was maybe 10 days, maybe not even 10 days before the pay-per-view, 9 days. 9 days. And they had a very limited amount of time to promote that match. It took one segment in the ring of the two of them just verbally going after each other to get me and everybody else excited to see CM Punk and Eddie Kingston in the ring together, because both those guys have a knack to, again, they when they speak, they come across as real and genuine, and they can talk people into their seats, right? Not everybody has that gift. In this segment here, and look, I love Hangman Page, but this was all Danielson here. Danielson played his role perfectly. And in less than 5 minutes, he got me completely pumped up to see these two get in the ring together. So when you have people with the level of experience of an Eddie Kingston or a CM Punk or a Bryan Danielson, they don't need more than one promo to get people invested in a match. And that is what we saw here tonight. It only took one segment, less than 5 minutes, to get me and a lot of other people, I think, on board for this match. Whereas before, not that they, didn't want to see it, but maybe there wasn't that level of excitement for it. Now there is. And it's not just some friendly competition. These two guys wanted to get at each other in the worst way. So I thought this segment accomplished exactly what it set out to do. They transitioned from this into the scheduled match between Danielson and Evil Uno. This was a late addition a couple days ago to the card. And whenever Danielson would throw the yes kicks, now that it had been firmly established that this guy is hated here in Virginia, whenever he would throw the yes kicks, they would chant no during his match. Danielson dominated. I would call it a squash. That's not really fair. It was mostly a squash, but, Uno did get some offense here. Danielson hit a pair of corner drop kicks. Uno cut off a third, went for a top rope senton, but Danielson got the knees up, and he hit the running knee, and then, of course, grabbed the arms, and he drilled him with some just stomp after stomp after stomp to the side of the face. Locked on the triangle, and within 2 seconds, there was a ref stoppage. Referee called for the bell. Danielson, of course, wins the match. Danielson ain't losing to fucking Evil Uno. After the match, Tony Schiavone gets into the ring, and he's going to interview Danielson. Good, even more. Even more Danielson on the mic. This is good. And he asked him about this reaction from the crowd, this mixed response. Not really mixed, but, the reaction from the fans here in Virginia. And Danielson said, look, I came out to congratulate Hangman, but, because of the way he acted, I ended up kicking Uno's head in. And what I'm going to do from here on out is I'm going to kick in the head of every single member of the Dark Order until I get to Hangman and my championship match. And he goes, next week, Dynamite is in Chicago. And as soon as he said Chicago, I thought, wait a minute. They're not going to give this match away. But no, I was thinking, I wasn't thinking of the name that he went with here. I was thinking of the obvious one. But he goes, there is a member of the Dark Order who is a native of Chicago, and of course that being Colt Cabana. So when I talk about mid-2000s Ring of Honor Bryan Danielson, makes me think of Colt Cabana, right? Nigel McGuinness and the Briscoes and Homicide and Samoa Joe. Kind of the glory era of Ring of Honor. So this is going to be kind of an old Ring of Honor match between Danielson and Colt Cabana in Chicago next week. I like the idea that he wants to run through the members of the Dark Order. And I love it because that means we're going to get Bryan Danielson against John Silver, which I think is going to be a lot of fun whenever they do that match. As far as when this match happens, they didn't hint at it. They didn't give any indication of exactly when the match is going to happen. They did do that Winter is Coming episode of Dynamite in December last year. I have to think, if he's going to take the time to go through each member of the Dark Order, and there really is no reason to rush this. They don't have another pay-per-view until the end of February. They have a, what I hope is live, TNT special coming up in January. Right? We know that Dynamite is moving to TBS on January 5th. 3 days later, they have their first TNT special, which is probably going to be that Battle of the Belts. And it would seem to me that would be the perfect place to do the match. So until they say otherwise, I'm assuming Battle of the Belts, January 8th, Hangman Page, Bryan Danielson for the championship. We had a video that was recorded after his match with Darby Allin in Full Gear. A video promo with MJF from Saturday night. And he said, I'm not covered in paint, I'm covered in shame. Everyone said that MJF couldn't wrestle. It's only good on the microphone, but here he proved everybody otherwise. Exactly what I said on the stream on Saturday night. I don't want to hear from anybody ever again that MJF, if only, he's okay. He's not really a great wrestler. He's great on the mic. No, I mean, he's great on the mic and he can work. He showed it with Sammy. He showed it with Darby. He showed it even, I would say, with Moxley. I mean, he's had a lot of really good matches. Jungle Boy. So the guy can work. And he made that point here, and he said he got every one of the cute Mark chants during the match with Darby. While everybody hates his guts, people have no choice now but to admit how good he really is. I thought this was very good. It felt like the kind of promo that he was kind of waiting a long time to give, especially the stuff about people doubting him in the ring and only acknowledging him on the mic. I'm sure he really does feel that way. It's the same point that I made. It's the same point that a lot of people have made. This guy doesn't get enough credit for his actual work. Maybe now people will open their eyes. This was not the last, by the way, of MJF that we saw on this show. Eddie Kingston was in the back. He was about to be interviewed by Tony Schiavone when, of course, it wouldn't be an AEW promo if there wasn't an interruption. So they get interrupted by 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. My God, I feel like so much time has gone by. We were seeing these guys on television every week. It's been like 2 weeks since we've seen them on any of the main shows. Finally, 2.0 is back with their son, Daniel Garcia. And they said Kingston didn't last as long against CM Punk as Daniel Garcia did, which is true. Kingston and Punk went about 11 minutes. Kingston said, I don't respect Daniel Garcia. You have two men who basically chaperone you. They call you their son. He thinks it's pathetic. And Kingston shoved him. They walked off. That was pretty much the entire segment. Seems like it's setting up a match on TV next week. They didn't announce it for Rampage on Friday. So if we're going to get Eddie Kingston and Daniel Garcia, my guess is it's a late addition to the Dynamite card next week. But they have not announced anything yet. We had the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny and Matt Hardy. I will say the Hardy Family Office is one of the channel-changing acts for me on this show. I'm sorry, but I love Private Party, but I made the comment a while ago. I said Private Party's momentum in this company completely stalled. The moment they went heel and they hooked up with Matt Hardy, and nobody talks about Private Party anymore. Then again, not enough people are talking about Santana and Ortiz either. It boggles the mind that they've been on this company's roster now for over 2 years. And I think they challenged for the championships once, I think, on TV. They haven't even really sniffed the tag team titles. I don't know what they're waiting for. Two great teams that should be doing more than what they have them doing. But Butcher and Blade are out there to take on Orange Cassidy and making his AEW debut, the Stone Pitbull and the new never openweight champion, I believe 6 times never openweight champion from New Japan Pro Wrestling, Tomohiro Ishii. Or I think it's Ishii. We'll call him Ishii. Okada's friends from Chaos. No Okada on the show, but Okada's friends were here. Ishii just won the Never title back last weekend at the New Japan Battle in the Valley show from Jay White. So he had the title around his waist. Great to see Ishii, one of the unsung heroes, I think, of the New Japan roster. It's almost impossible for this guy to have a bad match. Ishii and the Butcher started off, but Blade immediately tagged himself in. And he was throwing forearms. Ishii just stood there. He wasn't backing down. Orange Cassidy tagged in, and he did his whole shtick until Butcher blind tagged himself in, took out Cassidy with a tackle, and the heels basically beat up on him heading into the picture-in-picture. Come back from break. Cassidy's making a comeback. He reaches Ishii. He makes the hot tag. In comes Ishii. He takes down the Blade with a shoulder tackle. He's laying in some chops. Hits a suplex. And then the Butcher tags in. This is the confrontation that the people reacted to. This is the confrontation that people wanted to see. We get Butcher and Ishii face to face. Butcher is laying in these forearm shots, and Ishii is just absorbing them. And the camera zooms in on his face, and they call him the Stone Pitbull. He's got this just stone cold, expressionless look on his face, and the crowd is getting amped up. And he's throwing forearms, and Ishii is now he's just standing there, but he's walking forward. So even though Butcher is the one on offense, and he's the one throwing the forearms, each time he throws one, he's taking one step back. So Ishii isn't doing anything except walking forward. And he's backing this guy up into the corner. And Butcher doesn't know what to make of this. He's throwing forearms. They're not having any effect. So finally, Ishii throws one of his own. And he ends up on top, takes the Butcher and perches him up on the top turnbuckle, hits a top rope superplex to a big reaction. Butcher and Blade got the upper hand, though, after Orange Cassidy tagged in. But Cassidy made a comeback, hit a DDT on Blade for a near fall. Matt Hardy got up on the apron, and he distracts Orange Cassidy. Butcher and Blade hit a combo suplex, but Ishii breaks up the pin, tags himself in. Now he's laying in shots in the corner. Matt Hardy gets up on the apron. The Bunny, Matt Hardy, they're both trying to distract Ishii. And the Blade, in the meantime, grabs the brass knuckles. Rocky Romero is also out there. Rocky Romero, who wrestled Bryan Danielson last week, was back this week. He was in the corner of Cassidy and Ishii. He's sort of the liaison between New Japan and AEW. I will say, one of the unsung heroes of not just the relationship between New Japan and AEW, but really with New Japan and almost any promotion. Impact, somebody who doesn't get enough credit and who really has helped open these doors is Rocky Romero, because he's friends with everybody. And so he's really the one who has facilitated a lot of the crossover and New Japan stars coming here and showing up on Impact and showing up in AEW. Rocky Romero is really the one that has helped make all that possible. So he was out there as well. And Romero pulled Blade out of the ring before he could use the Nux. Orange Cassidy hit a giant crossbody dive out onto the Hardy family office outside. Ishii hit the sheer drop brainbuster in the end to win the match for his team. I like that they gave him the win. I like that. Even though he's not on the AEW roster, I get it, but I like that Ishii picked up the win with the brainbuster. Sean Ross Sapp, I saw him mention on Twitter that, and I thought this was very cool actually, Butcher has been away. We haven't seen the Butcher and the Blade too much lately. Butcher has been away on tour with his band because he performs in a band. So sometimes they go on tour and he takes breaks. He came back specifically for this match against Ishii. So he's in the middle of a tour. He made sure he came to Virginia tonight so he can be in the ring with Tomohiro Ishii. And after tonight, he's going back out on tour. That's how much it meant to him to get in the ring in this tag team match and to share the ring with Ishii. And I thought that was very cool. I thought it was a fun match. I'm hoping it paves the way for even more New Japan cameos and the eventual Okada appearance. They've over the last 2 weeks, they've mentioned and name dropped Okada so many times. It would be just a complete fucking tease to keep name dropping him and not have him pop up at some point. Of course, he would pop up at a time when Kenny Omega is leaving for a while. But anyway, I thought this was fun. To the back, Tony Schiavone is with Andrade El Idolo, FTR, and Tully Blanchard. And Andrade did a lot of talking, which is never good. It's just never a good thing when Andrade has a lot of promo time. So he was talking about how he proved he's a better wrestler than Pac and Cody, even though the heels lost at the pay-per-view. Cash Wheeler said he was frustrated in that he and Dax Harwood were robbed in their match against the Lucha Bros. They suggested getting Malachi Black and then making it an 8-man tag, that being Cody and Death Triangle against Andrade, Malachi, and FTR, which is now official for Dynamite in Chicago next week. That 8-man tag team match is now official, which is good because coming out of Full Gear, there were a couple of reports that Eddie Kingston and Malachi Black were injured because they were supposed to make an appearance at some kind of convention and the announcement at the convention was made that neither man would be appearing due to injury. Eddie Kingston came out and said he's just a little banged up, he's fine, everything's cool, and we saw him on the show tonight. Malachi was not there live, or at least he wasn't on camera live. They had a video package, like a vignette with him. But apparently he's okay. If he's wrestling next week, then obviously whatever it was nothing serious, or maybe it was just a cover reason, and they had some other reason why they couldn't be at the convention. We need Malachi to be healthy. We need him at his best. We've got him coming to House of Glory in 3 weeks. He's got to be in good shape. You can't be getting hurt on us now. Anyway, the 8-man tag is now official. I was going to go check Twitter for Cody's response, but he deactivated his Twitter this week and ran away. Nyla Rose against Hikaru Shida in a quarterfinal match in the TBS title tournament. I thought this was very good stuff from these two. Shida sent Rose to the floor. Nyla, though, cut Shida off, coming back into the ring. She was targeting Shida's knee, which, of course, was injured by Serena Deeb on TV many weeks ago. She's got that knee injury that she's been nursing. Vicky Guerrero was outside the ring, and when the referee was distracted, she reached in and she started choking Shida with a kendo stick. Shida sent Nyla into the barricade when they ended up on the floor. And she picked up a chair. Shida, of course, does that step-up knee strike with the chair sometimes. She was setting up for it. Nyla, though, clobbered her with a lariat. She sat Shida, or put Shida down on the chair, went up onto the apron, and tried for a cannonball senton. It did not pay off for Nyla Rose. Shida got out of the way, and Nyla crashed through the chair, just obliterated this thing. This chair was destroyed upon impact. Shida caught a kendo stick shot from Vicky Guerrero, but she grabbed the kendo stick and she whacked Vicky with it. Back from break, Serena Deeb showed up. She attacked Shida's knee. Nyla perched Shida over the top rope, hit that diving knee strike for a near fall. She went for the beast bomb. Shida, though, turned it into a triangle choke. Nyla powered out of it with a power bomb and went up top for a senton. Shida, though, rolled out of the way and then cradled Nyla for 2. Nyla caught a kick, and I thought this finish was actually very cool. She caught a kick from Shida, and she turned it into a standing stretch muffler. Stretch muffler is actually one of my favorite moves. I think it's just a great looking move. Well, this was a standing stretch muffler. So Shida is just hanging there. She's selling the pain of the knee. She can't hold on. She taps out. And Nyla Rose picks up the win. And with that, Nyla also ties Shida for the most wins by a female in AEW. Nyla will now face the winner of Chris Statlander against Ruby Soho in the next round of the TBS tournament. I figure that's going to be a win for Ruby. I thought the match was really good. It furthered the issues between Shida and Deeb. We know that's leading to a rematch at some point. And it gave Shida the out with the knee injury. So, it was hardly a fair win. Serena getting involved, and Vicky and the kendo stick and all that, but it gave her an out as far as, her losing. I figured she was losing in this match. And when I looked at the bracket, I figured we're not going to get face against face in the next round. Nyla moves on. Nyla doesn't pick up very many wins on Dynamite or Rampage, so it gives her a win. And it gives, let's say, Ruby or Statlander, but I figure Ruby, somebody to beat in the next round. So I thought this was very good stuff. Very good stuff. Let me just see here. We had a message here from one of our channel members. I thought it was Steven. Mr. Steven Chappa, who has been a channel member, by the way, Sound of Legend, for 8 months. Says, it's kind of amazing how fast these 2 hours flew by tonight. Great stuff all around. It was an excellent episode, I thought. Speaking of Ghostbusters, right? Danielson mentioning Ghostbusters. There's that super chat right there. May it live on in infamy. Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. So I mentioned earlier that MJF was not just going to be relegated to a pre-tape segment on the show. He had a greater role here on the show. Hey, Steven Chappa, thank you for the $50 super chat drop. Says a little extra for not making the Full Gear stream on Saturday. Well, we missed you on the stream, and that was very kind of you. Thank you, Steven. So MJF walked out for a live promo with Wardlow and Shawn Spears. And MJF told the crowd they're looking at the guy who checks all the boxes in the ring, on the microphone. He called himself the most complete wrestler on the planet, the man who would start a bidding war in 2024. So now we know when his contract is up. That's maybe the biggest news coming out of this segment, is that MJF is under contract for 2 more years, or I don't know, 2.5 more years. I said, he is going to make a lot of money whenever his contract is up, and now we know when. He's going to make a lot of money because he's either going to stay right where he is and be a lifer in AEW, the way people are lifers for many years, like what Dolph Ziggler is to WWE, only with more success. That could be what MJF is to AEW. Or if MJF goes where the money is, and who knows by that point who will be offering more money, who knows where these two companies are going to be in 2 or 3 years. Or he can go to WWE, but either way, he's going to make bank when his contract comes due. So that's a shoot. Called himself the past, the present, and the future of wrestling, and said he could send everyone's favorite horse right to the glue factory. Of course, the people in Virginia didn't like that. They did not like that at all. He said the rankings don't tell the whole truth, which they don't. As Excalibur pointed out, that's what happens when you wrestle 3 times a year. I actually think the fact that he doesn't wrestle very much on TV actually is what keeps him special. He can make appearances and cut promos and stuff, but the fact that he's not in the ring every single week, it actually makes him feel more special. It makes it feel like a bigger deal when we get a big MJF match. Now, the match with Brian Pillman Jr. in New York didn't feel all that big. But when he's in there with a Darby or someone with like even a moderate name, it feels special. So I like the fact that he's not on television every week. But supposedly these rankings are judged based on the quality of wins. So the more that you're wrestling, the higher up on the list you're going to be. But he said everyone knows he deserves to be the next AEW World Champion, regardless of what the rankings show. He said nobody in the locker room is on my level. And as soon as he said that, we heard Cult of Personality, and out comes CM Punk to a big reaction. He walks down to the ring. He stands in the ring, arms crossed, face to face with MJF. We got a holy shit chant from the crowd, then a shut the fuck up chant when MJF went to go speak. He introduced himself to Punk as Maxwell. He put his hand out for a handshake, and Punk just looked at him and he laughed and he walked off. And MJF did not look very amused by that. This is the program that I've been waiting for. When people ask me, what's the program with CM Punk that you really would like to see him in when he first came into AEW? The one name I always consistently mentioned, you could say Omega and Danielson and people like that, and even Darby. I thought Darby made a great first opponent for him, but MJF. Because it's not just for the match in the ring, and I think these two will go on to have a very good match one day. It's the matches on the mic. It's the fact that these two, you put a mic in each of their hands and they can make magic. Look at what Punk and Eddie Kingston did, right? We're going to get that between these two. So we're not just going to get a good match. We should be able to get weeks worth of entertaining segments on television. More than one promo's worth of entertaining segments on these shows. That's what I'm looking forward to. Now, maybe he makes Punk run through Wardlow first, or he has to go through other people first, other members of the Pinnacle, Shawn Spears. But that could be another match on that TNT special on January 8th. Now, if it's called Battle of the Belts, it could just be all championship matches. But again, I don't know that they're going to hold off until the next pay-per-view for this. So when this match happens, I don't know. But the fact that we are now finally teasing a Punk MJF match, this is the match that I wanted to see. Question is, when they finally meet, who goes over? Should MJF be the first person to hand CM Punk a loss? And I say the answer is yes. I think that the first person to beat CM Punk should be MJF. I think it would be gigantic for him to pick up a win over CM Punk. I thought him getting the win over Darby was the right decision, and that was a big win for him at Full Gear. But if you're getting this guy primed and ready for an eventual title match with Hangman Page next year, maybe Double or Nothing, MJF may be the one to take the championship from Hangman Page. He should be beating a big name like a CM Punk or Bryan Danielson. So when they eventually meet, I would like to see MJF get the win. But regardless of who goes over, the fact that we're even getting this program now and they're not, putting it off and delaying it and stalling it for another time, I think is great. The stuff with Punk and Eddie Kingston was the first time that I've, since Punk came to the company after the Darby match, where it feels like Punk is finally starting to do stuff that's really meaningful. It's only been a few months. Punk hasn't been here for very long. It kind of feels a little bit longer, but he's only been here for 2 months, 3 months. But now we're finally starting to get into the real kind of interesting matches with him. Tony Schiavone was backstage with, speaking of Darby Allin, he was in the back with Darby Allin, interviewing him, and Darby said, "Max, you did not break me mentally at Full Gear." He doesn't know where or when, but they will meet again. My prediction was they will meet again. They're going to meet again one day for the AEW World Championship. That match they had to open the Full Gear pay-per-view will headline a pay-per-view one day for the championship. Those two are two of the shining young beacons of this company. So he's right. They will meet again one day. It just might not be for a very long time. He goes, "I'm not taking any time off." All of a sudden, he's interrupted by the Gun Club. Billy Gunn and his spawn walk into the shot. They challenged Darby to a match, and then they walked off, and Darby's response was, "Whatever, why not?" To say this is a downgrade for Darby Allin would be an understatement. That would be a severe understatement. Professor John Gotti dropping a Hundy bomb on the live stream as Solo Mania there in that super chat runs wild. What am I saying? I don't know. I'm going nuts. Professor, what is going on, brother? I hope you are having a great night. Missed you this weekend on the pay-per-view stream, although he may have been lurking. He may have been here. But as I was just saying, talk about a downgrade for Darby. Who did Darby Allin piss off? That he has been relegated to fucking Billy Gunn. He's wrestling Billy Gunn on television. What the fuck did Darby do wrong? Holy shit. You talk about losing and then having to work your way back up the ladder. I mean, I know this whole stuff about the Gun Club being undefeated and all that, which I can't believe. But wow, you talk about a downgrade. I mean, it's an easy win for him, but come on. We go backstage to the Super Click, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks. They said Full Gear was one of the worst nights of their lives. Neither of the Young Bucks are even medically cleared right now. And Cole said Friday on Rampage it's going to be him and his old friend Bobby Fish taking on Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. Bobby Fish walked up and promised to put an end to the Jurassic joke. And before he could finish with the old "that's undisputed" line, he got cut off by Matt Jackson, who said, No, you're not allowed. You can't say that. Can't say that line. Let's be honest. We're all just counting down the weeks until Red Dragon is reunited here in AEW. Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, get the band back together here. Get him away from Von Wagner. And let's get a Red Dragon reunion going here. Let's go. Chop, chop. Only a few more weeks. I swear, if this guy resigns to stay with NXT, you know what? He gets what he gets. It's hard for me to... look, I can't get in the guy's head. Maybe he's happy there. Maybe he's making good money and he's, I don't know. Who knows what's going through someone's head? But, yeah, I don't expect him to stick around NXT. Let's put it that way. Unless they're going to try to sweeten the pot by calling him up. Because remember, he had a dark match with Johnny Gargano before SmackDown a couple weeks ago. They could be thinking about calling him up as a way to keep him around. But to me, he would be a fucking fool for staying around that place. We had the Acclaimed against Dante Martin and Lio Rush. How can I even recap what we had here? Max Caster came out. He was rapping. Lio and Dante took them both out with dives. Didn't even let them get in the ring. They just came shooting out of the ring and took them down. So they had the advantage early on until Max Caster tripped up Dante. And the Acclaim were dominating him through the commercial break. They come back. Lio got the hot tag, and he's just like a ping pong ball. You know, the way he just ricochets around that ring. It's fun to watch. It's hard to keep track of, but it's fun to watch. And he took out both members of the Acclaimed. Bowens rolled out of the way of a frog splash. Dante missed his double springboard moonsault that he usually finishes his opponents off with. Came back, though, with a springboard drop kick to Anthony Bowens. The Acclaim got their shit together. They hit the mic drop into Acclaim to Fame on Lio Rush, but Dante broke up the pin. Dante finally hit the double springboard moonsault, and Lio Rush hit the frog splash for the win. So Lio Rush and Dante Martin pick up the W. Fun match. Again, hard to follow. These guys were flying around all over the place, but it was fun for what it was. When the match was over, Team Taz came out to congratulate Lio and Dante on their win. Oh, look at this. There we go again. Look at this. Professor John Gotti is showing no mercy on this stream tonight. Another $100 super chat bomb from the good professor, teaching everybody a lesson. If only I had professors like this when I was back in school. Born Sinner says, I need my rent paid, Mr. Gotti. At least the Solomonster will be able to keep a roof over his head this month. Thank you, John Gotti. He is a made man here on this channel. But Team Taz was out there, as I was saying, and he talked about the fact that last week, Lio Rush was not around last week. Because Lio Rush, unfortunately, lost his grandmother, who he was very close to, and so they extended their condolences to Lio, and he said, look, you know, us offering Dante Martin a contract to join Team Taz last week when you weren't around, it's nothing personal. It's just business. That's what he said. It's just business. Ricky Starks said, really what it comes down to is the choice between Team Taz and Lio Rush. It's a choice between a Hall of Fame career or a mediocre one. The choice is yours, young Dante. So Dante Martin, I guess, is still mulling over the decision, whether or not he wants to join Team Taz. I could have sworn he already turned them down. Did I miss something here? Wasn't there a segment last week where he turned them down? Maybe I'm just imagining that. It's funny, though, you know, when I hear Ricky Starks out there talking about how the choice between Team Taz or Lio Rush is the choice between a Hall of Fame career or a mediocre one. And the only thing I could think of is, how'd that work out for Brian Cage? What's he been up to lately? Maybe that's a little bit of a sore spot. Sammy Guevara defending the TNT Championship in the main event against Jay Lethal, making his AEW in-ring debut. So, Born Sinner says, Dante turned down the Acclaimed. Okay, so that's what I was thinking of. There's so many tag teams and trios and groups in this company, I got my groups mixed up. So he has not yet officially made a decision on Team Taz. Good to know. He will not join Team Taz. I don't believe he will join Team Taz. In fact, has me wondering if we're going to get Lio and Dante against either Hobbs and Starks or Starks and Hook. We still haven't seen Hook wrestle. We have no idea if Hook can wrestle. A lot of people waiting to see Hook's in-ring debut. I'm waiting to see when Ricky Starks is going to wrestle again because I'm not convinced that he's fully healed up from his neck, his broken neck. How many times have we seen Ricky Starks wrestle on television in the last 6 months? Not very many times. He's walking around with a championship over his shoulder, the FTW title, but he doesn't wrestle very often. And the only reason for that would be if he's hurt. So I'm telling you, I think whether it's just them being overly cautious or the fact that he's not fully healed, it has to do with his neck. That's what I think. But this main event, as I said at the beginning of the stream, was an excellent match here. I thought this was actually a great way to end the main event. Guevara and Jay Lethal for the TNT title. This was, and I wrote this down, and I feel confident saying this. This was the biggest match of Jay Lethal's career since the match he had with, well, there were two matches. The match he had with Ric Flair in TNA at Victory Road in 2010, which he won, by the way, which Lethal won. And the triple threat match at Madison Square Garden 2 years ago, where it was Lethal, it was Marty Scurll, and Matt Taven. That was the triple threat match at Madison Square Garden. G1 Supercard, Ring of Honor, New Japan. This is the biggest match outside of those two, I think, of this man's entire career. And he's been around for a very long time. Jay Lethal has been doing this for 20 years across multiple promotions, most notably Impact, Ring of Honor. And in 20 years, this is top three, one of the biggest matches of his career. Biggest platforms, live on TNT, main event. So this was a big stage for Jay Lethal. He went out there, and not surprisingly, he delivered a great match because he's a veteran. He's been doing this long enough. He knows what to do when he's out there. Sammy Guevara was the perfect opponent for him. They're more or less the same size, same speed. So they matched up very well together here. Beginning of the match, they traded cradles back and forth, very evenly matched. Sammy did a dive out onto Lethal, which was ill-advised given that he was still selling a rib injury. He followed that up with a shooting star press that got him a pair of knees to the ribs ahead of the final picture-in-picture break. Throughout the entire break, Sammy was basically laying on the floor outside the ring being tended to by the doctor, Doc Sampson, and the referee, Paul Turner. And it was a question, I guess, of whether or not he was going to be able to continue the match. But magically, when the picture-in-picture break ended, Sammy got back in the ring. It was almost as if on cue. They said, "We're back." And Sammy got back into the ring. And Sammy refused to allow the referee to end the match. He said, I'm good, I'm ready to go. He flipped off Mr. Lethal, and the two of them came to blows. They just start wildly throwing hands, throwing bombs on each other. By the way, yes, that is a good point. Dan Brown mentions in the chat. He came out to this at the pay-per-view. I think I mentioned it on the Full Gear stream. But for those who are interested, Lethal's music is a remix version of Pomp and Circumstance. So he's not coming out doing the whole Black Machismo thing, which he shouldn't be right now, because that would just be him coming out. Him coming out cosplaying as the Macho Man is not the way to use Jay Lethal. I'm sure at some point we'll get Black Machismo, but I like that. I like the fact that, you know, it's a little homage to Randy Savage when he comes out. But these two start throwing bombs. Sammy blocks a lethal injection attempt. He connects with a standing Spanish fly. Lethal throws Sammy out of the ring. And he hits the ropes and he comes off and he goes for a tope suicida through the ropes. Sammy, though, catches him on the dive. He catches him and he drops him with a brain buster on the floor. So Sammy then picks up Lethal. He knocks him out with a rising knee. And Lethal falls backwards onto the timekeeper's table. Sammy gets up on the apron. He climbs up to the top rope. And he just lays it all on the line. And he comes diving off the top rope with a diving senton, swanton bomb, call it whatever you want. He crashed and he burned. There was no water in the pool. Lethal moved out of the way. Sammy crashed through the table. Back inside, Lethal dropped the Randy Savage elbow, but Sammy, on the way down, as he drops the elbow, Sammy catches him and basically cradles or crucifixes him over for a near fall. Very close near fall. Lethal got the figure 4 leg lock applied. Sammy tried to make it to the ropes. Lethal, though, drags him back to the center of the ring. Sammy is struggling. He's fighting. Excalibur's trying to sell it like this is somehow going to affect his ribs. He tried. It's a bit of a stretch. But eventually, Sammy made the ropes for the break. We got a fight forever chant from the crowd. So if you were wondering if the crowd was into this main event, they were, very much so. Lethal tried for an abdominal stretch. Sammy countered out of it, tried to lift him up for the GTH, but couldn't lift him up. Too painful. Clutches his ribs. He kills Lethal with 2 straight knee strikes. He's going to go for it again. And this time, it takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of effort, but he gets Lethal up on his shoulders, flips him over, hits the go to hell, knee strike right to the face. And Sammy Guevara gets the 3 count and retains the TNT Championship. Jay Lethal, a loser in his very first match. But what a first match it was. Inner Circle out to celebrate with Sammy. We got a handshake. Good sportsmanship between Sammy and Jay Lethal. And then Jericho raises Lethal's hand, and Sammy raises both their hands in celebration as they go off the air. This was an excellent match, and every time I see Sammy Guevara in the ring, it just shows me that he has all the tools. I mean, he is one of those, they talk about the pillars, right? Or as Jim Ross said, pillows. He's one of the pillows of this company. Darby, MJF, Sammy's right there with him. Sammy has looked great in his last few TNT title defenses. The fact that he has the kind of crowd support that he has is also very cool to see. And, clearly, even physically, he's been working on his body. He looks in great shape. It looks like he put on some muscle mass, so he looks the part. This is, I don't know if they're using these matches as something of a test for him or not, but, he could be headlining a lot more main events in the future on Dynamite. So Sammy is rolling right now. And because of that, I like the fact that they did not take the title off of him. I don't necessarily like the fact that you debut somebody in their first match and pin them and have them lose. I used to kind of shake my head when Lucha Underground would do that a lot. They would introduce somebody new on the show and immediately beat them. I'm not a big fan of that, but to debut Jay Lethal in the main event, this was his very first Dynamite. And to debut him in a title match in the main event, and he goes out there and, he kills it. He has this great match. It's not as if he looked bad in defeat. He lost nothing from this loss. And I like that, the Jericho came out, raised his hand. They sort of endorsed him, and Jericho's out there saying, good job. And that's a match we're going to see at some point, I believe, too. Lethal said, I think, in an interview this week, that his dream opponent would be Chris Jericho. So I think we may yet get a Jericho-Lethal match. And maybe Lethal will give Jericho the best match that Jericho's had in a while. But I thought, top to bottom, with few exceptions, like I said, I'm not a fan of the Hardy Family Office stuff. At least they lost here tonight. Top to bottom, I thought this was an excellent, very, very strong episode of Dynamite that followed up on the pay-per-view, setting the stage for some big matches going forward. They have now set the stage for Danielson as a heel. Unless we come to find out they only did this because they were in Virginia, but it didn't feel like that. This felt like a whole attitude shift going forward for the Bryan Danielson character. They set up Danielson and Hangman Page in 5 minutes in one segment this week. They have MJF and CM Punk seemingly getting ready for their first showdown very soon. And, of course, that main event with Sammy racking up another win. The women's tournament, very good match. So I really thought that this was a double thumbs up. A great effort tonight from AEW. I very much enjoyed this show. Let us see if the Twitter poll reflects that. Indeed it does. That's actually more votes at this point. Usually that poll's only been up for about an hour. And already over 1,100 votes. So it's even more feedback than usual to the poll. 92%, roughly 92% thumbs up. And 8% thumbs down. You guys know where to go. At Solomonster on Twitter is where I put all the polls up. And I did not get one up in the live chat here on Twitter, but again, you can check out the polls at Solomonster on Twitter is the place to go. Now, before we get into your super chats, and if you have questions about anything really, but if you have questions about tonight's show, Full Gear, any of the storylines going forward, whatever it may be, I will get to all of your questions, and I thank you all for your support. But tomorrow night, I'm going to be live back here with you again. Little programming note, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a 14-year anniversary celebration. We're going to hang out. It's going to be very laid back, loosey-goosey kind of stream, where we will also do Survivor Series predictions. So Survivor Series predictions, I'm going to bust out some email questions from you guys, and of course, super chat questions. So if you got them, bring them with you tomorrow night. We'll hang out for a couple of hours, and we'll celebrate 14 years of the Sound Off. Hard to believe, but this is a 14-year anniversary month for the show. I hope you will join tomorrow night and be part of the celebration. Friday night is Rampage. I will be live as soon as Rampage goes off the air at 11 p.m. It's Billy Gunn against Darby Allin. Oh, joy. Again, what Darby did, I don't know, but Jade Cargill one-on-one with Red Velvet, TBS title tournament quarterfinals. Adam Cole and Bobby Fish against Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. And so as soon as that goes off the air, I will go live. And then on Sunday, episode 731 of the podcast on all the usual platforms. And then Sunday night, as soon as Survivor Series goes off the air, right back here, live on YouTube to cover the entire pay-per-view. We got pay-per-views back-to-back weekends. So what do you think? Survivor Series. Will Survivor Series be better than Full Gear? Hard to envision that. Hard to envision that. We can hope. I will be watching, so I am always hoping that the next pay-per-view is better than the one that I saw before it. But I don't know about that one. Full Gear is one of the better shows AEW has ever done. I don't get the sense this is going to be one of the better Survivor Series that WWE has ever done. But you never know, right? They will sometimes surprise you. Everybody in the chat seems to have already made up their mind, though. And by the way, if you are not watching Survivor Series, you can still tune into the live stream. I got you covered. I'll cover it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly for you from top to bottom. So let me open your super chats here. We can get this party started. Hey, Fire Panda, what's going on, man? Fire Panda joining us tonight. Always good to see him on board. Man, it is hard to believe, isn't it? 25 years ago tonight, Survivor Series 1996, Bret Hart and Steve Austin, their first of those two classic matches they had, Shawn Michaels and Sid. I remember exactly where I was. I'm going to talk about all this on the show on Sunday. I want to dedicate a few minutes because that was a very important night. In fact, that night is one of the more, I think, important and memorable pay-per-views WWE has ever done, not just for the Bret Hart-Steve Austin match and what it led to, but for a certain individual who debuted on the show that night. So we'll talk more about that on the show on Sunday. But yes, tonight is a very important night this week in history. Groovy Goose was the first one to chime in earlier, and he mentioned that it is his birthday. So everybody wish Groovy Goose, if he's still around here, a happy birthday. Groovy is with us each week. He didn't say how old he is turning, but what is the life expectancy of a goose, anyway? I'm not sure. Joshua Carlos, Punk against MJF promos are going to be must-see TV. One of the reasons why I have been waiting for this match. I'm actually kind of surprised they're not waiting longer. I'm happy they're not. I thought they would want to wait a little bit longer before they get to it, though. Naif Alsafar, thank you for the $4.99, brother. Hope you are doing well. Tuxedo T Servo. That was a master class by Danielson on how to legitimately go from babyface to full-on heel in one segment. Brilliant. Something that he did 2 years ago this month, in fact. He went from being babyface to being a heel right before his Survivor Series match with Brock Lesnar. That was when he beat AJ Styles on SmackDown to win the championship. Joshua, you think the Briscoe brothers are all elite? I believe they are. I think it's only a matter of time. They were the names I mentioned last week as far as who I think should jump next. The next Ring of Honor defection, I think You add the Briscoes to that tag team division, and you've got yourself an even stronger tag team division. So I think it's only a matter, it's not a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when they pop up in AEW. Briscoes against Santana and Ortiz, Briscoes and the Lucha Bros, Briscoes and FTR, Briscoes and the Bucks. Take your pick. Ryan Spies, Darby is going to do the right thing and put over the undefeated Colton Gunn. How in the world are the Gunn brothers or the Gunn Club undefeated? It's just, it boggles the mind. Groovy Goose, by the way, in the chat says, I'm here. Life expectancy of a goose is 24. He goes, I'm turning 24. Uh-oh. Well, now I sound like Charlotte from SmackDown last week. Uh-oh. That's not good. Well, pour one out for Groovy Goose. He may not be with us for too much longer. I'm sorry I asked. That was a legitimate question. I didn't know. The life expectancy. Brian the Green Boy dropping $10 here on the stream. Out of these 5 wrestlers, Adam Cole, Andrade, Jungle Boy, Malachi Black, and Pac, if only 4 of them get a chance to be AEW World Champion one day, which 4 do you buy on, and which one do you sell? I think I buy on all of them except Andrade. And Andrade is excellent. He's very good. But I look at that list, and I think that everybody on that list, all the names you mentioned, Jungle Boy, Adam Cole, Malachi Black, and even Pac, have a better chance of one day holding that AEW World title than Andrade does. I actually think out of the 5 you mentioned, he is the least likely to end up with that championship. So I would go with Andrade. But on the subject of Andrade, Dangerous Damien, he's been a Sound Off channel member here for 2 months. Says, should Andrade be the one to dethrone Sammy for the belt? I feel like he needs a belt. I think he should be under consideration. I don't know if he should be the one to take the title from Sammy. I think he needs a few more, I don't know, he needs to be heated up a little bit more. He's too cold right now. Maybe he needs to go on a win streak, get a few more wins under his belt. But I certainly think he'll hold the TNT title before he ever holds the AEW title. Food Hive, feels so good to be back on stream. What up, chat? Welcome back to Food Hive. Joseph Brooks with the $4.99. Which of these fantasy matches for The Rock would you have liked to have seen in order from 1 to 3? The Rock against Randy Orton, The Rock against Batista, or The Rock against Roman Reigns? In order from 1st to 3rd, I would go Rock and Roman, current version of Roman, Rock and Orton, and then Rock and Batista. I'd like to see Rock and Batista in a movie together. I don't necessarily want to see them in a match. Quintus Brown, very good show tonight. MJF and Punk feud. I'm surprised they're doing the feud this soon, but I'm all for it. MJF will hand Punk his first loss. That's what I hope. That's what I said. I think he should be the one. Hey, Brandon Proctor. Welcome. He is now a Sound Off legend. He took a gamble. Proctor and Gamble. Boy, that was a bad joke. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. He took a gamble, though. He is a Sound Off legend. Brandon, thank you. I don't know if he just became a member or he upgraded, but he is now a Sound Off legend. So, shout out to Brandon Proctor. Nick Grosso, Bryan Danielson, going full-on 05 HBK heel. I love it. Making sure Adam Page is the true babyface in this whole thing. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole thing was his idea for that very reason. He doesn't want to have any, no ambiguity whatsoever about, like, who should be cheered in this or, 50-50 reaction. Maybe he's doing this selflessly to make sure that Hangman Page gets the full babyface reaction that he deserves. And in the end, he'll put him over and he'll shake his hand. And then he'll go back to being a babyface. Even if we only temporarily have a heel Bryan Danielson, I like him being in this role more than wrestling Page as a babyface. I said it was the heel turn I was not expecting, but I think it's going to make this infinitely more enjoyable. Infinitely more enjoyable to see him kicking people's heads in on TV, all the Dark Order members over the next few weeks. Joseph Brooks, not to just send everyone to AEW, but would you like to see Zack Sabre Jr. in AEW? Him against Bryan Danielson, easily a 5-star match. I don't need to see Sabre in AEW, but I think that's a match they should do if and when Bryan goes to New Japan. Or for example, if he ends up in the G1 next year, and I think there's a very good chance that if he wants to be in the G1 and tells Tony Khan, look, I want to be in the G1, and I'm sure, Geto in New Japan would be fucking imbecilic if they had Bryan Danielson wanting to be in the G1 and they said no. That's the kind of match I could see in a G1 next year. Or somewhere in Japan at a show there, not on AEW television. Just a feeling I have. Hit that like button, by the way. That's right, Mr. E 1976 in the chat. Always picking up the slack where I leave off. Hit that like button. Help a brother out. Ryan Spies, are they allergic? Oh, by the way, thank you for the $20, Ryan. That's very nice of you. It says, are they allergic to giving Sammy Guevara some actual interesting title defenses against Moriarty or something, especially since with the harassment allegations about Lethal from his ROH days, I want him nowhere near my TV. Well, Lee Moriarty is another one of those young stars on the AEW roster who they seem to be slowly pushing. They're not kind of shoving him down our throats. But again, from an in-ring perspective, Jay Lethal there's no doubt that Jay Lethal matches up very well with the people on this roster. There were allegations levied against him. I don't know what the status of them is. I know that supposedly Ring of Honor did their own investigation, much like they did with Marty Scurll. Scurll was bounced. Lethal was not. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but that's kind of where my understanding is where things were left. I have not heard any sort of updates on anything since then. AEW has stayed away generally from people who have accusations hanging over their head. They have not gone into business with Tessa Blanchard. They did not bring in Ric Flair when I'm almost just positive. I'm convinced he would have been on TV by now, if only for a cameo. If not as Andrade's manager, we would have seen him on TV by now. So Tony Khan has showed that certain people who are considered toxic or certain people who have baggage, he will stay away from them. It's telling, I think, that they did bring Lethal in where all these other people were not brought in. So make of that what you will. But nobody can doubt that Jay Lethal is a great wrestler. And I thought that that was a great match tonight, a great pairing, and the right move to have Sammy beat him. Even though I generally, again, don't like beating people in their very first match, it was the right move to make. Keeping the title on Sam. Sammy's got a good thing going with that belt. I would not disrupt that. Quintus Brown, Undisputed Era against the Elite at Double or Nothing. Rodimus Prime with the $15 super chat. Solid week for AEW. From Full Gear to tonight, all I can say is solid. Magician Sapphire, thank you for the 10 spot. Love tonight's show. Everybody was in full gear tonight. I didn't even mind the Hardy family office on the show. So you were the one. Spanish Goddish. I just chatted with him on the phone, actually. Friend of his. Got him on the phone. We were talking at the House of Glory show. He couldn't be there live, but it's good to talk to him. Still can't believe I got to talk to Solomonster on... Well, there you go. Talk to Solomonster on the phone and see Okada live last week. Got to buy Bronson Reed and Buddy Matthews a hot dog as well. Battle in the Valley, I see. I heard good things about Battle in the Valley. Shame I didn't get to see it. The Mount Vernon Kid, the Alpha, dropping $5. Hey, Solomonster, how you doing, brother? On a scale from 1 to 10, how surprised would you be if Red Velvet goes over Jade? I would be very surprised. And it would almost have to be some kind of disqualification finish, and they don't really do disqualifications in AEW. So I would be shocked if Jade Cargill loses to Red Velvet. I think Jade Cargill may not win this tournament. She may lose in the semifinals or the finals, but to lose to Red Velvet in the quarterfinals, that's just not going to happen. It's just not. Joseph Brooks, as popular as DDP was, do you have any idea why all three of his title reigns were so short? His first reign only 15 days, his second 13, and his third only 1. Well, I'm going to guess it has something to do with the fact that you had Hogan and all these other big names on the roster at the time jockeying, right, for title reigns and that don't work for me, brother, and whatever other nonsense was going on behind the scenes at that time. Yeah, the later stuff when he was champion, that was probably, what, 99 or 2000? Did he hold the title in 2000? He might have. There was so much disarray at that time in the company that they were probably at that point just throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks. I don't think anybody was going to have a very long title reign at that time, especially after Russo came in. EJ Slemp, I was curious if you knew what the longest match in wrestling history is, because I have no idea. Was it the longest non-Rumble match, or what is the longest non-Rumble match that you remember? Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought that a few years ago, Chris Hero on the independent scene, I don't know what promotion it would have been for. I thought Chris Hero had like a 3-hour match or a 2.5-hour match. Or am I remembering this wrong? Because if that's the case, then I think he might have the record. So I'm sure somebody in the chat will look that up for me. Either that or it's some kind of really, really, really old school wrestling match from like decades ago, where it was like catch wrestling and they went, 2 hours and 45 minutes. I'm almost positive I've covered some of this stuff in the This Week in History segments I did last year. But I vaguely remember there being something Chris Hero did on the Independents, like a very, very long match. Epsilon Sama, Omega and the Bucks against Cole and Red Dragon, All Out 2022. Well, you're looking way ahead into the future. I don't have my crystal ball with me. A lot of it depends on how long Omega's out for. Yeah, absolutely. I think we could very well see a breakdown, a kind of a split. People take sides. If Omega goes babyface, as I think he will, maybe it's him and Hangman. Maybe he and Hangman reunite. They were tag team champions at one point. Jared Simpson with the $10 super chat. Don't forget to hit the like button. Takes less than a second and helps the channel out immensely. Thank you. Jared is not a bot, I assure you. Bots don't drop super chats. If they did, though, that would be fucking amazing. Is that like various little android robots dropping $15 here, $20 there? I welcome our robot overlords. Marcus in the chat says, according to Google, the longest wrestling match was Bruno Sammartino against Waldo Von Erich in 1964. The match went 81 minutes. Ended in a draw due to curfew. Boy, that's like that Seth Rollins match with Kevin Owens on TV last week, going 24 minutes and ending by countout. I'm almost positive that there's been a match since then that's beaten that. Bearwolf says longest wrestling match was 11 hours and 40 minutes at the 1912 Olympics. Well, we are talking pro wrestling. So let's keep it to pro wrestling, because I assume that's what he's talking about. EJ Slemp, I hope Page killed the "You Deserve It" chant. I hate it. It's the second worst chant behind the "What" chant. "You Earned It" is a little bit better, but is still cringe. Can you imagine after Randy Savage won the title of WrestleMania 4. Just like chants of "you deserve it." Like, when did this whole era of like just these weird chants begin? When did we really first start to hear "fight forever, you deserve"? Because I feel like it was an independent thing. So my guess is it really started like mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s, like Ring of Honor and maybe PWG and shows like that. But I try to imagine like in a bygone era, you know, title wins and everything, and those guys from the golden era being in the ring and getting chants the way we get chants today. It just doesn't fit. You know, it just doesn't work. It's weird. Dried chicken without flavor. Love the show tonight. Sorry I was unable to be on the Full Gear live review last Saturday. Well, you were missed. We missed you on the stream. Quintus Brown just wished that Black break away from this Cody crap and start going for the TNT title. Black in this makeshift group doesn't do it for me. Malachi Black, I think, has to end up challenging for either the TNT title or the AEW title. Part of me almost thinks that the TNT title is beneath him. He could be AEW champion next year. He could be the one to take that title from Hangman. MJF or Malachi Black, either one of those guys. I think MJF is a better chance of it being him. But Malachi, I think, should be in the conversation as well. Ryan Spies, CM Punk should bring in Danhausen and Warhorse as backup against the Pinnacle once Danhausen is healed up from his injury. Yeah, best wishes to Danhausen. That was a pretty gruesome injury that he suffered to his leg. And it's going to be a while before we see him. So, best wishes to him. And also Mance Warner, formerly of MLW. He also, it's so weird. They were on the same independent show, and they suffered, I think, basically the same injury. I think in his case, it was a broken tibia, fibula, like really bad leg break. So they're going to be gone for a while. Drew Johnson, awesome show tonight. Keep up the good work, my friend. Thank you, Drew. Hulkling93 with the $10 super chat. Cool start to MJF and Punk, but unless there's more to it, I find it baffling for a face like Darby willing to wait to get at MJF for embarrassing him with tainted headlock takeover pin. Well, he's got business to tend to with Billy Gunn, apparently. I agree, it's very stupid. It is very dumb. But I get it because, not the Billy Gunn thing, that's just stupid, but not going back to MJF and Punk or MJF and Darby, I get. Because he beat Darby, and he beat Darby for a reason. Because there's bigger things in his future. Possibly a title match. If you immediately bring this feud back, it's almost like Darby has to almost get his win back. Well, you're right back where you were before. So before you get back to that, MJF has to go off and do what, he's destined to do. Eventually, these two are going to end up back together. And Darby will get his win back. Now would be the wrong time for him to get his win back. So I understand not going back to that match. I would not go back to that match yet either. Hulkling93 though, thank you for the super chat, $10. That is awesome. Devin from NJ2000, greetings and salutations, Solomonster. We have Keith Lee joining us in the chat. Apparently. Well, I guess he has a lot of free time now, so welcome Keith Lee. Welcome to the Bearcat. Don't feed the strays. Aaron. What's going on, Aaron? In the chat. Says, Solomonster, I have to hand it to you. A number of great shows. Maybe this will get me more into AEW so I can completely be called out or what you're talking about. Hopefully in the future. Well, keep tuning in. I'll get you all caught up on what's going on in AEW. I'm here every week. Nightmare Knee, just showing love, dropping $5 here via Super Chat. Nightmare Knee, it's a very cool name. Thank you, Nightmare Knee. Dried chicken without, oh wait. It is Thanksgiving, he has changed his name. Dried chicken and turkey without flavor. There is nothing worse, by the way, on Thanksgiving than a dried out piece of turkey. So I don't know if you guys are going to be preparing your own turkey at home, if you're going to be going over to a friend's house or a family member, in-laws. I'll be over at a cousin's house. So that way I don't have to cook anything because you don't want me trying to cook a turkey. That's something you don't want. But there is nothing worse than dried turkey. You want it to be succulent. You want the juices to be just kind of rolling off of it, right? I like that dark meat. I'm a dark meat guy. Anyway, Dried Chicken and Turkey says, Private Party should start entering that forbidden door. I would do a Matt Hardy and Orange Cassidy match at the Hardy compound to settle their feud. Do something with them. Where the hell have they been? They've been on the back burner now for weeks. I figure you get them on TV doing anything. I mean, they're probably on Dark, but get them on Dynamite. Get them on Rampage. Domination Warrior, Ishii, always the G1 MVP. Yano does unique shit too. And we may see Yano and Orange Cassidy together yet on TV. Steven Chappa, thank you for that earlier $50 Super Chat bomb. I appreciate you. Steven, one of our diehards each week. EJ Slamp with a $9.99. Every promotion has one most disgusting promotional tactic for exploiting the death of a wrestler. Why do they do it? Has AEW exploited Brody's death or have they stayed respectful? I miss Brody. Oh, I think they've been very respectful. They were very respectful of the family and respecting his wife's wishes. I think that the stuff with -1 and kind of welcoming his son into their family has been an amazing thing that they've done. And I can't imagine what it would be like. You know, to have a kid that young lose his father and in the way that he did is horrible. And so for them to kind of reach out to their family and bring their family into their own, I don't see that as exploitation at all. I see that as something that they didn't have to do, but I think it was a very nice gesture on their part to do it. I think they have paid great respect to Brody Lee, as has all the members of the AEW roster. And so I don't see anything exploitative about it at all. They haven't tried to profit off of his name, to my knowledge. They're not doing storylines saying that, you know, Brody's in hell or anything like that. So that would be exploitation. We have not seen that from AEW. Drew Johnson, do we really need to see Billy Gunn against Darby Allin on Rampage? Lame. Professor John Gotti, that's his first of $200 bombs. What a great weekend of AEW and New Japan Wrestling. Tonight's show was, my goodness, highest flight, killing it week after week. Highest flight, killing it week after week. I assume you're talking about Dante Martin and Leo Rush. Dried Chicken and Turkey. You see Santana and Ortiz winning the tag team belts at the Long Island show or next year. I thought they would set them up to win them at Arthur Ashe in Queens, and they didn't do it, so I don't assume anything. I mean, they haven't even been teased as far as the tag team picture is concerned. Maybe they want to wait until the belts are back on heels. And right now, the Lucha Bros are the tag team champions, so maybe they're just waiting. But no, I don't see them winning the belts this year. Professor John Gotti, sorry I missed the live stream Saturday, brother. Caught the replay. Undisputed got ceased and desisted like too sweet. Hashtag BTE. Elijah Ricard with the $9.99 was at the show tonight. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Told you on Twitter I was going to be on the post show. Love you, man. Keep up the good work. Well, Elijah, you picked a hell of a show to be at tonight. Crowd was on fire all night. And it's nice when you pay to go to a show and the company gives you something to actually cheer for. Those are the shows that are the most fun. David Wilson, I can imagine Kyle watching that segment with Cole and Fish with a smile on his face. Excuse me. Then turning to Von Wagner and just frowning. Poor bastard. Well, look, as long as he doesn't sign anything, he's got nothing to worry about. He's only got a few weeks left, and then he's a free man. Then he can do what he wants. There's no non-compete or anything. If your contract expires, you're free and clear. Besides, it looks like Von Wagner is going to be on SmackDown anyway. Von Wagner is going to be Adam Pearce's new bodyguard. I can't look at that. I cannot look at Von Wagner. He looks like Cro-Magnon Man. Like, he's just such a weird guy. But he's big and he's tall. He's big and he's tall. So I guess that gets you on TV. Food Hive. Got to put my Cash App here for Professor John Gotti. Fire Panda. Hey, Solomonster, do you know what happened to Brian Cage and why he isn't on TV anymore? Could he be on his way out? Or is it something else? I think I saw somebody mention that he was... is he injured? He might be hurt. I'm not sure. I have not heard of an injury. But I thought somebody mentioned something about an injury. So if they're aware of that and I'm not, let me know in the chat. I don't know. Because even when he was healthy and he was making the occasional appearance, it's not like they were doing much with him. So I don't know what the deal is, frankly, with Brian Cage. And I'm also not sure that if he left and went to WWE, let's say, I don't know that he would really be in a much better position. I don't know if they would look at him and want him in WWE. Frankly. I just leave it at that, but I don't know. I don't know where their head is at on Brian Cage. Dry chicken. Tony Khan should allow some of the AEW talent who were lost in the shuffle to enter the forbidden door. I think we're going to start seeing some guys pop up in Japan here and there as things ease up a little bit. I think it's only a matter of months. All right, Darlene mentioned that she heard Cage was injured. He had to pull out of a match with Buddy Murphy recently, so he may be injured. Although Dry Chicken now tells me that Brian Cage is the new XPW heavyweight champion, so I'm getting conflicting messages here. This is like Undertaker before SummerSlam in '94 when they had those segments where people claimed to have seen him. They saw him at a deli, they saw him walk by a firehouse. Everybody thought they saw the Undertaker walking around. I'm getting conflicting reports here on Cage. Okay, now Mr. Dynamite says, I heard Cage was injured and had some complications from knee surgery. So which is it? Is he hurt or is he the XPW champion? Drew Johnson, if you don't want to get over, join Team Taz or the Hardy Family Office. Yeah, if you just want a vacation from television, join either one of those groups. That'll get you some time off. Elijah. Also, shout out to the Norfolk crowd chanting assless chaps at a jobber against Kazarian on Dark. Hulkling 93, there's a chance this attitude shift for Bryan is a temporary heel turn like HBK in 05. Yeah, it's possible it's just for the Hangman Page program, just to make sure he's fully cheered. So my advice to you would be enjoy it while it lasts, because it may not be a permanent thing. Fire Panda, someone mentioned this in the chat, but wanted your opinion. Would you like to see Jay Lethal against Jericho, and would it be a good match? That's the match that Lethal wants. To him, Jericho would be a dream opponent for him. I think it would be. I think it would be a good match. I think if Jericho is in the ring with the right person at this point, because he's not the same performer he was even a few years ago. But if he's in the ring with the right opponent, I absolutely think he could still have a very good match. And I think Lethal would be one of those people. Drew Johnson, 14 years. You're the man, Solomonster. 14 years. 14. All the stories I've covered in those 14 years. Man, it's crazy to think about. You would have told me 14 years ago about this AEW thing. I would have been like, what? Is that an independent somewhere? I've never heard of them before. Oh, how things change. EJ Slim, do you think Bobby Cruise will get offers from both AEW and WWE? I don't think I don't think he'll get offers from WWE because I don't know if he's great at what he does. That isn't the only thing WWE looks for, though. I think they have a certain look. I think they're going younger with everybody. So as great as Bobby Cruise is at his job, I don't see him landing in WWE. I think he'll definitely, he should get scooped up somewhere. WWE, though, I don't see it. King of Doug style, lack of build for Survivor Series is frustrating. Lack of build for Survivor Series is pretty much the norm at this point, so you should be used to it. Dried Chicken, it would be better if Hit Row became part of the AEW roster. Top Dollar can't catch a break in WWE and Twitter. Well, that's his own fault. Fire Panda, I think not only did the plane ride from Hell episode ruin the AEW's plan with Ric Flair, the AEW, are you Bret Hart now? It's like the WCW. Not only did it ruin the AEW's plan with Ric Flair, it also ruined AEW's plan with Andrade. Well, if AEW's big plan with Andrade, if their only plan was to put fucking, 80-year-old Ric Flair in his corner, then they didn't have very good plans for Andrade. Because he doesn't need Ric Flair. So I would hope they have more plans for him other than putting the old man in his corner. Because he don't need him. Spanish Goddess, you can see me on the show. I was front row at the New Japan show. Plus, I got cussed out by a guy from Team Filthy. Twitch H with the $10 super chat. Can't wait for Punk against MJF. Fire on the mic. Do you think Punk may try and sway Wardlow away from MJF? Telling him MJF is holding him back. I would like to see that. It's been 2 years. Let war get over. Well, I'll spit this out at you guys. I don't know about that, but I think we're going to get Punk against Wardlow. If you remember when Tony Khan sketched out his card for Full Gear, the match that was written on that piece of paper that we saw was Punk against Wardlow. And that's obviously didn't happen. We ended up with Punk against Eddie Kingston. That was a late change. I think the idea is still to do Punk against Wardlow. It's just going to happen a little bit later. So I think we get Punk and Wardlow before we get Punk and MJF. Food Hive. Almost time for the mac and cheese Oreo deviled eggs. Oh my god. Ugh. What are you doing to me? You keep sending me super chats like that, I'm gonna have to grab the bucket. Mac and cheese Oreo deviled eggs. Good lord. Launchpad. MJF is finally going to come out to Cult of Personality in Chicago next week, isn't he? Oh, that'd be great. See, I did not like that idea. People were pitching that idea for the United Center show in August, and I said, don't do it. This is his first appearance in 7 years. When the music hits, everybody's going to go nuts. Don't ruin it by getting cheap heat. Well, now that Punk is already back, it doesn't matter. So I would be completely on board with him coming out to Punk's music next week. I think it would be great. I wouldn't have done that, though, in August. Quintus Brown, prayers and best wishes to @Jessie the Buckeye. Yes, Jessie Davin, I want to give her a shout out. Jessie on Twitter. She's been going through a really rough time. I'm sure some of you may be aware of that. And she got a very nice tweet from someone who tagged AEW about what she's been going through. And all of these AEW stars, including Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, were kind enough to send her a tweet, which was very nice of them to do. So I know she's in the hospital and, she's been going through some really rough stuff, but hopefully that will be over soon enough. I'm sure she's going to be just fine in the end, but it's going to be tough for a while. But she's a fighter, and I think she's going to be fine, and I think she's going to come out stronger for it on the other side, and I wish her all the best, and everybody in the live chat should wish her the best as well. @Jessie the Buckeye is her handle on Twitter, by the way, if you want to send some love. She could really use it right now, so best wishes to her. Mic Drop Hooligan. What's up, Solomonster? Happy 14th. And also, Colin Cowherd is a turd. Yes, he is. He absolutely is a turd. I love how Colin Cowherd now, because, Fox and everything, they're in bed with WWE. Colin Cowherd all of a sudden is a big wrestling fan. For all the times he shit on it and called the fans booger eaters and all the other stuff, right now he's like this huge wrestling fan. I don't buy it. Ever heard of wolf in sheep's clothing? That's Colin Cowherd. Fuck that guy. EJ Slamp, I looked it up. Hero has 2 long matches against Punk in a 92-minute match in IWA Mid-South in 03. And a 190-minute match, gauntlet match in 2015. That's what I was thinking of. I knew it was some kind of gauntlet. So that's got to be the record, 190 minutes. 190-minute gauntlet match with Chris Hero. That was 6 years ago. That's got to be the longest match on record. It has to be. It has to be. Fire Panda Solomonster, you should do a Thanksgiving live stream and cook for us and make us pie. Oh, if I'm getting pie, I'm not going to be able to do it on camera, so you're on your own with that. I will be having some pecan pie next week. I'll be bringing that over to my cousin's house. That's my contribution to Thanksgiving dinner. I'll bring the pie. Only the pie that I like, though, so I can eat most of it. That's my contribution to Thanksgiving dinner. That and my mere presence being is a gift. Hulkling 93. I wouldn't be surprised if Ricky Starks re-aggravated his injury in that last match with Cage when he went headfirst into the chair. Something's going on with that guy. There is no other logical explanation for why he has been so absent from the ring. And, good on them if they're keeping him out for his own safety. It's just very weird how they made a big deal about him coming back so soon after the injury. And he won the FTW title. He's got a championship that he walks around with, but we never see him. He should be one of those pillars people talk about, one of those great rising young stars in the company, and we rarely get to see him on TV. It's got to be a reason for it. Fire Panda, to set the record straight for the chat, Bulu is accumulating more money so he can continue in helping me annoy Solomonster. Yeah, no Bulu tonight. I hope he's not under the weather. I'm concerned that we have no Bulu here on the stream. I'm sorry, a Spanish Goddess. I'm sorry. How are we going to talk shit about Brian Cage not having charisma, but they enjoy Dante Martin and Jungle Boy, who lacks that? Shaquille Oatmeal. Oh, that's a new one. I like that. It's almost that one and Bret Hart. I put them on the same level. Hey, Food Hive, what do you think about that? Shaquille Oatmeal with the $5 super chat. What's up, Solomonster? I had to change my gimmick. I'm no longer Shiesty B. Anyways, good episode of Dynamite. MJF entrance music is very underrated. As soon as the opening chords hit, the boos rain down. It's great. Dried chicken and turkey. Leo Rush, Scorpio Sky, Powerhouse Hobbs, or Jay Lethal will be the first African-American AEW World Champion in the next few years. I don't think so. I'm trying to of the names that you included on that list, though. Hobbs may have the best. It depends, as he progresses and he improves and gets more experience under his belt. I think of the names you mentioned on that list, I think Hobbs probably has the best shot. Scorpio Sky, they see a lot in him. He just re-signed a new 5-year deal, so he'll be around for a while. Leo Rush, I don't see him as AEW World Champion. Lethal, yeah, he's got a shot. I think Hobbs is sort of the wild card here, though. I think he's got a huge upside. Shaquille, again, also, you had a rant a couple of months ago about Laser Ship, and as an employee there, I can 100% tell you it's the driver's fault. They're incompetent. Yeah, that was when I was expecting an Amazon package. And then I went online to read up, because it says it's coming from Laser Ship. I go, what the fuck is Laser Ship? It sounds like a fucking spaceship coming down from the sky. And I go online and I'm reading these horrible reviews about this laser ship company and how fucking terrible they are. But then I also hear it's the drivers, it's not the company. I don't care who it is. As the customer, you're very frustrated when they tell you a package is delivered and you run downstairs and there's no package. Now, sometimes it says delivered and you got to give it like an extra hour before it actually shows up. But there was a laser ship package I was supposed to get. It said it was delivered. I said, oh, great. That was 5 months ago, whatever it was. I never got my package. So yeah, I would say that's pretty frustrating. Fire Panda, if you could also bring bamboo for Thanksgiving, that would be great. The Panda family may be coming as well. Well, we don't have a lot of bamboo laying around here in Brooklyn, so it's not much I can do for you. I can pull some branches down off the tree in front of the house. I could do that, perhaps. But you're all out of luck. Although I did used to hang out sometimes, occasionally, years ago in the city at a restaurant called Bamboo 52. I have no idea if it's still there. I have a little tiki glass that I took home from Bamboo 52 many years ago. Shout out to them. So we are all caught up on your super chat. That was awesome. That was a strong super chat night. Some great questions in there, especially about tonight's show. Kind of makes you think, you know. I like it when you make me think about some of these things. We have another super chat here from Fire Panda. That is an acceptable replacement. Well, good. Branches it is. Mr. Dynamite says, order some from Amazon and have them send it to you by laser ship. There you go. There you go. The local zoo might have some bamboo, but I haven't been to a zoo and I don't even remember the last time I was at a zoo. The Bronx Zoo is great, though. I was at the Bronx Zoo many years ago. Gabriella, we just did a whole bunch of super chats. We probably just spent 30 or 40 minutes doing super chats. So we just finished the Q&A portion. We will do more Q&A on the anniversary stream tomorrow night. We'll do super chats. I'll try to mix in some email questions from you guys that you've been sending me. I'll try to pull some tomorrow. We'll do some Survivor Series predictions. Again, that's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. 14-year anniversary stream. Just hanging out. Nothing too overly formal. We did an anniversary stream last November. It was a huge success. Big turnout. A lot of questions. So hopefully you guys will come out in force tomorrow night and join me. Oh, Anti-M Bishop in the chat said Bamboo 52 closed up last year. That sucks. I'm guessing it was pandemic related. Well, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that. Although it'd been a long time since I had been there, though. I should do a Solomonster barbecue next year. With a fire pit, maybe, and everything. Alex Moreno dropping $5. Solomonster bot here. Don't forget to hit that like button. Here we go. The bots are out. The bots are now, they're self-aware. They're dropping super chats on the stream. I like it. And they're giving themselves human names. Alex, thank you. So anyway, that's tomorrow. And by the way, Groovy, tomorrow is not the official birthday of the Sound Off. That's like November 7th, I think it is. 6th or 7th. But tomorrow night, I wanted to do it on a Thursday night like we did last year. Just because there's not a lot going on a Thursday night. It's more of an open night. There's no major wrestling shows that are on, so. But this entire month is the birthday of the Sound Off, where this is like our birthday month. So on Friday, Rampage stream. Sunday, Survivor Series. Back here live Sunday night. So we got a lot of streaming coming up. We do, yes, I know. Nathaniel, I know. We're getting to it in a second. Don't worry. One more look at the Twitter poll. At Solomonster, I see I got a DM. Which wrestler is DMing me now? You wouldn't believe some of the messages I get. But 91.5% thumbs up. 8.5% thumbs down. So an excellent score here for this show tonight. We do a little something here on the streams called Be the Booker, as the Armed Anderson super chat pops up from Fire Panda. Says, poor Darby, they're killing his momentum. Well, let's pump the brakes here. It's been 1 week. It's 1 week. It's one match against Billy Gunn. I would not say the sky is falling just yet on Darby. It's just, it's beneath him. It's beneath him. But yes, this is the Be the Booker segment that we do here on these AEW streams each and every single week. Abdul Rahman, Sound Off channel member, if you can do a trade between two wrestlers from AEW and WWE, who would it be? Oh, I'd have to think about that. You know, a lot of that really depends on, do I think WWE would do right by those people? I really don't have a lot of hope and faith, to be honest with you. I don't know that I would want to take some of my favorites from AEW and drop them in WWE. I feel like I would be doing them a disservice. Fire Panda says, nope, his momentum is gone. Hey, much love to you too, Near in the chat, all the way from Israel, recovering from surgery. I hope you get well soon, brother. I hope it wasn't anything too serious. So let's do some Be the Booker here. We just randomly try to book the main event of WrestleMania. This is completely random. I have no idea which wrestlers this is going to land on, but I always try to do a better job than the actual bookers. This is me trying to do my best Vince McMahon impression here. So let's see what we end up with. I've had some amazing matches that I have booked in recent weeks. And we picked the Tribal Chief. Can't pick a better one than that. I think I actually picked him last week, didn't I? Didn't I pick him on the Full Gear stream? Roman Reigns, one half of the WrestleMania main event. That's very believable. That is very believable. Let's see who Roman Reigns is going to be in the ring against. It'll be Roman Reigns one-on-one against Cesaro. A match that we saw on pay-per-view earlier this year. And can you imagine if Cesaro gets a renewed push, goes on to WrestleMania, and beats Roman Reigns to become the new Universal Champion? That will never happen. Only here on this stream. So I think that's a good one. We got a good one here. I like it. Now let's see if we can replicate this with the ladies. Because we do the same thing with the women here. We try to book a all-female WrestleMania main event. And let's see who we land on here. We've got, oh boy. Oh boy. Rosa Mendez. I'm not even going to pick the opponent. Doesn't even matter who I pick as the opponent. We'll pick one anyway, but this is already a fail. I wasn't even waiting to hit the buzzer on that one. Good Lord. Rosa Mendez one-on-one against Marina Shafir. Yeah. I don't think we'll be seeing that at a WrestleMania anytime soon. But that was an automatic fail horn on that one. I think we could all agree on that. Well, at least we did good with the men though. We picked a good one with the male superstars. They can't all be winners. Fight forever. Aaron Banks says fight forever. It won't even be the main event on main event, says Tuxedo T Servo. NXT 2.0 main event, says Quintus Brown. -5 stars. I couldn't hit that buzzer fast enough. Yeah, Chris, very sad to hear about Noah Syndergaard going to the Angels. Although it's only 1 year, right? I think he may yet be back on the Mets in a year. Let's see what happens. I think there's still a chance he ends up back in New York. Drew says, will I be drinking any booze tomorrow night? I hadn't thought about that. Maybe. To celebrate the occasion? Possibly. I don't drink too much anymore, but maybe. Fire Panda says that Rosa match would be 5 stars. Yeah, put a little minus sign in front of it. That's what that match would end up being. She was employed by WWE. I mean, think of all the people who have been released by WWE in the last year. Think of the fact that they got rid of Keith Lee and they got rid of Karrion Kross and people like that, right? Rosa Mendez, I believe, was employed by this company for 10 years. I mean, how does that happen? How do these other people end up being cut after a year, 2 years? And then you have other people like that who are on the roster for 10 years. It's just, it says a lot, I think, about, what they are looking for in certain talents in that company. It just, trying to figure it out is just an impossible game to play. Thank you, Nathaniel. Thank you for the congrats on the 14 years. No bar story, Radical Velocity. No bar story tonight. Near says it's because she's hot. They've had a lot of very attractive women that they've hired over the years. What makes her any more or less attractive than anybody else? It's got to be, I don't buy that. I don't buy that as being the reason. I don't buy that as the excuse. Steve, you may be onto something there. And we'll leave it at that. On that note, anyway, stay sexy. I will see you guys tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Come on back here for the 14-year anniversary stream. And all the rest of the content you've got coming your way Friday, Sunday, of course, episode 731 of The Sound Off. But tomorrow night, we'll take your questions. We'll do some Survivor Series predictions. We'll have a good time. And you never know what might happen. You never know what craziness may ensue. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have yourselves a good night. And we'll do this. Oh, wait, we got one more. Dry Chicken keeping me around here. Rosa Mendez, WrestleMania main event is an exit early. Fire Panda says, see you tomorrow, Solomonster. Yeah. No, I'm just reading the chat here. Don Juan, I love you too, brother. Mr. Dynamite, everybody else, have yourselves a great night. I'll see you tomorrow night.